Hi, good morning students, and welcome back to Mr. Poole's Online Learning. Today we are going to talk about something that maybe some of you have done before. If you were in third grade, maybe Miss Dumas did the UPS check with you. Okay, so this is called the UPS, and then I just do a check mark, or you can write check out if you want. I do UPS check. Okay, and what that stands for is the U, and I make a box like this. I make a box, and let me change this one around a little bit. I usually put it on this side. Okay. So what the U stands for, it's understand. Okay, so understand, and I usually just put a big U here. I'm writing out understand for you listening to this, but I usually don't write understand up here. I usually just put a U. The P is the plan. That's my plan, what I'm going to do. The S is the solve, and the check, and that's check for reasonableness. So is it reasonable? So all right, so the understand, here is our word problem that we're going to do. So first of all, I want to read the word problem, and you should always read the word problem twice. I'm going to read it through the first time, and all I'm going to do the first time is I'm going to simply just read it. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to let it kind of sink in. I'm going to read the problem. Sandy found 10 rocks. She gave 2 rocks to her friend, and she threw 3 rocks in the lake. How many rocks did she have left? Okay, so a lot of information in there. I only read it one time. Now, I have a partial understanding of the problem, but now I'm going to go back and I'm going to read it a second time, and I'm going to pull out the information that I have, and I'm going to put it in the understand. It's what I understand about the problem. Okay, so Sandy found 10 rocks. So I'm going to write 10 rocks, and I'm going to put Sandy. So she found 10 rocks. She gave 2 rocks to her friend. So I'm going to write gave 2 rocks, and that's all I'm going to write. I'm not going to write anything else. And she threw 3 rocks in the lake. So I'm going to write threw 3 rocks. And how many rocks did she have left? Well, this is the most important part of the whole problem, because that's the question they're asking. That's what we have to find. So we need to know that. So I'm going to write that on here. I'm going to write that in the understand. How many rocks did she have left? Okay, so that's really important, because that right there is what we're going to answer. How many rocks did she have left? So now I'm going to come up here and I'm going to make my plan. Your plan is whether you're going to add, subtract, multiply, or divide. That's really what your plan is. You're going to say what you're going to do. Okay? So I know she had some rocks, but then she gave some away, What would that be? If you give something away, if you have some and you give it away, you're doing what? Subtraction, right? So I know I'm going to have to subtract. And then it says she threw 3 rocks in the lake. What are you doing there? You're subtracting again, right? You're subtracting again. And then it says, how many rocks does she have left? Okay, that's a clue right there, have left, that you're going to subtract. When you see have left, that's a big clue. And you already know that you're going to subtract. So your plan is you're going to subtract 2 different times. So now you're going to come to your solve. That's when you actually work out the problem, because we haven't worked anything out yet. We've done no math yet. We've just did some figuring, and we made our plan. We're going to subtract twice. Okay, so I have 10 rocks, or Sandy has 10 rocks. So Sandy has 10 rocks. She threw or gave 2 to her friend. So I'm going to do 10 minus 2. And you should know that's 8. Then I'm going to take the 8 rocks, and she throws 3 in the lake. So that's another minus. Minus 3. 8 minus 3 is 5. You know it. Okay, that's 5. So it looks like my answer is going to be 5. So check for reasonableness. Is that reasonable? Does that make sense? If she found some rocks, she found 10 rocks, she gave some away, she threw some in the lake, could she still have 5 left? Yes, that's a reasonable number. Now, what if I accidentally added here and I came up with 11? And then I came over here and said, is that reasonable? She had 10 rocks, she gave some away, she threw some in the ocean, that's minus and minus, but now all of a sudden I have 11, and I have more rocks than I started with? That wouldn't make sense. So you would know you did something wrong, and you could go back and check your work. That's why we check to see if it's reasonable. It wouldn't make sense that we start off with more rocks or we ended up with more rocks than we started off. That doesn't make sense. So it would be a clue to go back. But 5 is reasonable, so I would say yes, it is reasonable. Okay, so I would say yes, it's reasonable. So these are the 4 steps of the UPS check. And you should use those every time you do a word problem, especially a difficult word problem. Now, this one was pretty easy. I used easy numbers in there, but I could have made the numbers a lot bigger. I could have made it more difficult, and then it would have paid off to use the UPS check. So first you do the understand. Understand is what you know about the problem. Okay, it's what you know. It's what you can read in there. That's the understand. It's also the question. The question is the most important thing, so that should be in your understand. Your plan is simply what you're going to do: addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. Your solve is actually working it out. It's actually solving the problem. And check for reasonableness. Just, is it reasonable or not? Is 5 a reasonable answer? And I say yes, 5 is a reasonable answer. All right. Well, this is again called the UPS check. I hope it helps you to solve your word problems. I think I gave you 2 word problems to solve. So solve those problems. Try putting them in the UPS check like this, and hopefully that makes it a little easier for you. All right. Well, have another happy day of learning, guys. All right, we'll see you later.